the expected responsibilities and obligations that a woman fulfills as a part of her role in a committed relationship or marriage. These duties are grounded in biblical principles, the structure of the relationship, and the agreement between the man and woman.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Matthew and Carlene channel. Today we are going over how can you factually and identify a woman that is wife material. So let's get into it.
You probably don't know what the hell that is. Here's some examples of duty. Supporting her husband's vision and leadership, managing the household and ensuring its well-being, submitting to her husband's leadership, providing emotional and spiritual support as a helpmeet, raising children in a godly manner, and being diligent in her responsibilities. In a nutshell, duty is about fulfilling her God-given responsibilities and obligations to ensure the success of the relationship and family unit. Okay, let's talk about appreciation. Appreciation refers to the voluntary, heartfelt expression of gratitude and recognition for the man's role, contributions, and efforts in the relationship. Appreciation is an act of acknowledging the value of the man's leadership, provision, protection, and emotional investment. Here are some examples of appreciation. Verbally or physically thanking her husband for his hard work and leadership, acknowledging the sacrifices he makes for the family, celebrating his achievements and affirming his efforts, encouraging him with words of love, admiration, and respect. Small gestures that show gratitude, such as preparing a favorite meal, giving him a thoughtful gift, or giving him top right on the spot.
Really, nigga?
In a nutshell, appreciation is about recognizing and honoring the man's efforts and sacrifices, which reinforces his role and motivates him to continue leading and providing. It'll also make him want to outdo himself each time, especially if giving him top right on the spot is on that list. So ladies, take advantage of this little harmless hack. Now, let's look at a short scenario on how duty plays out. Sarah knew her role as a wife and mother was crucial to the success of her family. While her husband worked long hours to provide, she ensured the household ran smoothly. Every evening, she prepared a warm meal, helped the kids with their homework, and prayed over her home. As her husband walked through the door, Sarah...
Okay, my fellow men, that is a very good point. It is. Because one thing we have to understand is that this unacceptable behavior that your girl may be demonstrating, 9 times out of 10, she learns it from her mother. She really does. If you are dating a woman and you see that, like, hey, in her family dynamic, her mom's the one who's really in charge. She's the head of the household. When she's speaking, no one else is allowed to speak. The father, he's pretty much just there for show. He doesn't get any say over his kids. Run. Run like your life depends on it, because it actually does. One of the biggest reasons for this is because, guess what? If you do propose to her, you're most likely going to come into a situation where a brand new requirement is going to be made where you have to marry both her and the mother, even though the mother is an already married woman. The reason why is because since neither woman in these situations, neither the mom nor the daughter, has ever learned how to lose control of something to a man in a healthy manner, the requirement for marriage that the two of you is creating your own family that's separate from the family you were born into, that's out of the cards with that family dynamic. You can't convince them otherwise. So you really should just leave. You really should.
Sarah's smile and warm greeting reminded him why he worked so hard. He had a home filled with love, order, and peace. Sarah understood that her role as a helpmeet wasn't just about tasks. It was about creating an environment where her family could thrive. By fulfilling her duty with grace, Sarah not only supported her husband's purpose, but also built a home that reflected God's order, a place of love, peace, and unity. All right, let's look at appreciation. Jason woke up before sunrise every day to work a demanding job that kept the family secure and provided for their needs. His wife, Maria, saw the exhaustion in his eyes, but also determination in his heart. Maria didn't take Jason's hard work for granted. That morning, she packed his favorite lunch and included a note. Thank you for all that you do for us. I see your sacrifices, and I love you more every day. When you get home, I'm gonna give you top. As Jason opened his lunchbox at work and read Mariah's note, he felt appreciated and valued. Her simple act of gratitude gave him strength to keep going, knowing his efforts didn't go unnoticed. And it gave him a sense of urgency to get to the house because he knew he was getting some top. That's a tip, ladies. That's how you make sure your man come home right after work. Now, if you're a man who has a woman that does not understand the difference, it could be because of one or two reasons. Either she wasn't raised to know the difference and the importance of showing appreciation for a man and his efforts, in which we call a misunderstanding, or she does know the difference and the importance. She just don't want to show you any appreciation. Fellas, if your woman is the latter.
All right, my fellow men. Once again, not only do I completely agree with this guy, I also have a much more simpler way to defy it for you, as well as a means of properly testing out if your woman is the latter or not, based on personal experience. The simpler way to defy this is, does your woman's words line up with her actions? If your woman's words line up with her actions, especially over a period of time, this woman truly does love you. However, if her words say one thing, her actions say another, this woman is dating you or seeing you for ulterior motivations. And the way how you can factually test that is not by a big time confrontation, but by bluntly calling her out in whatever way suits your fancy, whether it be through a text message or through a phone, you name it, and then just walk away. Just don't speak to her, don't look at her, don't acknowledge her. You're not being mean, you're just making it perfectly clear you're not willing to entertain this behavior. If your woman truly does love you, it will cause her to burst into tears. She'll immediately apologize and change her behavior and work on changing her behavior, because the fear of losing you is that big. It really is. Or she could just double down on that behavior in whatever way suits her fancy, in which case you were just an ATM for her. You honest God were. And you can make your decision on what to do based on her response.
And you may also have a woman who only does her duty contingent upon her individual happiness, which is even worse. We call this manipulation and unwillingness to cooperate and submit. Fellas, I hope that's not the case. But if it is, we can address that in a minute. Some of you may not know how to determine whether you're dealing with a misunderstanding or manipulation. Well, here's a 3-step process on how to test to see which one it is. Number 1, make her aware of the differences. Number 2, educate her on why it's important to know. And number 3, request that she change. If she's open to changing, this confirms it was a misunderstanding. And what you'll need to do next is show her how she can change. Give her some examples of what you'd like to see from her. If she's not open to changing after being made aware of this issue, she's manipulating you. So here's a 3-step process on how to deal with manipulation in this particular situation. Number 1, plan some time to sit down and have a conversation about the matter at hand. Number 2, although any excuses she gives you is wrong, we still need to ask her to explain why she is not open to accepting your request for change on the record. Number 3, educate her about your principles and expectations in a relationship. You typically want to do this before committing, but I know some of y'all are jumping the gun on this and end up having to overcome obstacles later on. It's okay, you're not alone. Communicating your standards, principles, and expectations should be a requirement before commitment. Now, the particular principle you should touch on should relate to what it means to be a helpmeet and submissive in a committed relationship. You'll also need to ensure she understands it by showing her what you're referencing. If you do not have any references to show her, I have attached a free PDF copy of what I currently use. The link to that is in the description. Now, if she continues to challenge you on this principle, and you are dealing with a combative woman, and your relationship with her is at a huge risk of failure, at this point, you should be preparing for an exit plan. Or if she's worth keeping, or if you're currently married with children, then you must deal with this using external resources. So, here are 3 ways you can fix this issue. Number 1, you can book a couples counseling session with me, and I can mentor you guys through this issue. Links is in the description. Number 2, try to coordinate with her parents to get a difference of opinion. Warning! Mothers, even if they are married, typically struggle with the situation as well. So unless you can talk to both her mother and her father, I'm afraid this option will be useless. The last option is to plan your exit.
Okay, my fellow men, that is a very good point. It is. Because one thing we have to understand is that this unacceptable behavior that your girl may be demonstrating, 9 times out of 10, she learns it from her mother. She really does. If you are dating a woman and you see that, like, hey, in her family dynamic, her mom's the one who's really in charge. She's the head of the household. When she's speaking, no one else is allowed to speak. The father, he's pretty much just there for show. He doesn't get any say over his kids. Run. Run like your life depends on it, because it actually does. One of the biggest reasons for this is because, guess what? If you do propose to her, you're most likely going to come into a situation where a brand new requirement is going to be made where you have to marry both her and the mother, even though the mother is an already married woman. The reason why is because since neither woman in these situations, neither the mom nor the daughter, has ever learned how to lose control of something to a man in a healthy manner, the requirement for marriage that the two of you is creating your own family that's separate from the family you were born into, that's out of the cards with that family dynamic. You can't convince them otherwise. So you really should just leave. You really should.
At this point, you be dealing with a woman who does not submit to you, and you should no longer waste your time with her. But if you're married or have kids, then you need to think really hard and weigh how severe her manipulation is impacting the health of the relationship and your mental well-being. And because that's the last thing we need is another family breaking apart, I just recently launched a community group that can help with these situations. Because I understand we live in a day and age where the deck is stacked against us. And if you're in the United States and you understand how divorce and family court systems operate, and you already know you can't get married unless you have a woman's full cooperation and submission. Without that, you're stepping into an unfair playing field. Too many men are failing to be proactive when it comes to relationships. And the numbers are only getting worse. Marriage rates are dropping, and it's no secret why. There's a lack of protection in the system for men and a lack of cooperation from women. But the biggest problem? Most men don't even realize they need to be proactive until they're already in these situations.
Alright everybody, that's all we got time for today. If you like this content, by all means, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, look us up on Patreon, leave a comment. It really helps us out. It really does. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day.